There are some common errors that I just want to make you aware of. So if it happens to you, you know kind of what to look for. So one of the things that's really common is that as you're making these, as you're writing out long sentences, sometimes you might think it's a good idea to put a carriage return here. And notice my editor fusses at me, makes a red mark when I do that. And it's an error when you put a carriage return inside double quotes, right? So what I did, let me do that one more time. Oops. So what I have here is I have a string that begins at that opening quote and closes at that closing quote. Right, that's what makes a string. And then anything inside that is part of the string. What I'm not allowed to have a carriage return in there. That's if I click enter, I get a carriage return in there. What happens is your coloring will change. And then when you go to run this page, so I go ahead and reload it. Notice nothing shows up here, and I just start entering the values. Hank is a dog, and he's 2, and I click here, and nothing happens. And it's like, wait a minute, it was working just a minute ago, and now nothing's happening. So when things don't work the way you want to, one of the things I recommend is that you go to your inspect element and you go to console and look up and see if you're getting any kind of error here. Notice that it's showing me the error on line 23 and on 41. So 41 is where we're calling the function. So right here on line 41 is where we call the function, but then line 23 is actually inside the function. So it points to where we need to look, and it says invalid or unexpected token. And that doesn't give us a lot of information, but at least it lets us look. And we can look for this common error to have a carriage return inside a string. So if I backspace and get rid of that, then I'm fine. Now if my string gets really long and it wraps, so I have my editor set so that it will wrap, right? And when those lines get long, that it just keeps wrapping them. If it wraps inside a string, that's not an error. There's no carriage return in there. It just truly is wrapping. So that will not produce an error. You have to actually get a hard carriage, a hard enter in there. Okay, let's see if I can get back. Meet your dog. Okay. Another common error is to forget a quote, to open a quote and not close it, and just keep going and not make a match. Again, my editor makes noise when I do that, but you've got to make sure you match those quotes. What that does is it starts the opening quote here, and since I forgot to put one here, it just keeps going. And that pet name and both the plus signs are just included in the string. So I've got this string right here that isn't exactly what I wanted, but that it's interpreted as a complete string. And then I start getting code that's outside the string that doesn't work. And it's like, oh, I don't know what that code is. And again, when I try to run this, I'm going to get problems. So I run it, I enter my stuff. It looks like everything's fine. And click here and nothing happens. View that console and it comes up and tells me there's error. This time it says invalid regular expression flags. So again, not very informative on the words, but sends us to the right place to look for this error. And I'm missing a quote right there. The third error that's really common in this one is to miss a plus sign. Right, you've got to put a plus sign between. Now notice my editor doesn't tell me any information on this one. But if I go back and I reload, enter my stuff, I'll just leave that editor open. We're going to need it, right? Dog, and it's 2. I click there. And again, it tells me it's on number 23, syntax error, unexpected string. So it doesn't really tell me exactly what it is. But what I've done here is I have a string plus a variable, which is in this case, and then I just have it followed directly by a string. And I don't have a plus sign there saying, hey, why do you have that string coming right after that variable name? Oh, I need to add that plus sign to concatenate them. So I fix that, and then I can reload. and enter the information. And there it is. Now it's working. There's no error in the console window. So 3 really common errors.